do the closing speech immediately. The speakers will be penalized if the time taken exceeds the allocated time. Again, the time will be paused if the speaker has very poor internet connection during the speech and resume when it is resolved, which the timekeeper will take account to the extra time. Now I will briefly declare the roles of the debaters. The first speaker of the government and the opposition team will need to define the motion and state their stand as well as introducing an idea or more to support or against the motion. The first speaker from the opposition team also need to review the idea given by first speaker of the government team. The second speaker from the government team and the opposition team need to convey two or more ideas to support or oppose to this motion. In addition, the second speaker of the government team need to review the idea given by the first speaker of the opposition, while the second speaker of the opposition team needs to review the idea given by the second speaker of the government team. The third speaker do not introduce new ideas and need to review all of the ideas given by the first, second, and third speaker of the other team. For the reply speech, the time allocated to prepare is 2 minutes, whereas to present the reply speech is 3 minutes. The first or the second speaker of the opposition team should present his or her reply speech first, followed by the first or second speaker from the government team. The speakers cannot introduce new ideas and will need to summarize their arguments and reaffirm their stand regarding today's motion. Third speakers are not allowed to present the reply speech. Timekeepers will ring the bell once at the second minute as a last warning, and will ring the bell twice to signal the end of the debate. Do all participants are clear with rules and regulations? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So as the rules and regulations are fully understood, I would like to call upon the first speaker of government team, Mr. Hanif, to deliver his speech.
Aristotle once said, "The only stable state is the one in which all men are equal before the law." Assalamualaikum and good evening I bid to the speaker, honorable judges, trustworthy timekeeper, and not to forget, ladies and gentlemen, members of the floor. The topic for our debate today is this House will propose that healthcare charges in government hospital be made equal for both citizens and non-citizens. We from government side agree with this proposal, and in general, the debate today is focusing on the theme of equality. Before we go further, it's best for me as the government to define the topic for our debate today. Basically, the topic of our debate today revolves with two main key points, which is healthcare charges and the term non-citizens. As for the healthcare charges, we government define it as a basic medical treatment, specifically in outpatient, dispensary, and screening. All right. For the second key point, non-citizens, we define it as the legal migrants and immigrants. So now we are done with the definition, and we are moving on to the introduction of the government lineups. Tonight, as the first speaker, I will be talking to you about healthcare is the best investment. Next, the government will be followed by our second speaker that will be discussing another two concrete reasons in which the worldwide policies and the mechanism of our healthcare system as the reason why the healthcare charges in government hospital should be made equal for both citizens and non-citizens based on the definition given by the government. Lastly, from the government, we have our third speaker that will rebut and sum up the case on why the opposition should agree with the government. Ladies and gentlemen, as the first speaker of the government, I will discuss about one solid reason why the healthcare charges in the government hospital should be equal for both citizens and non-citizens, in which healthcare is the best investment. In order for us to understand my point today, we should know what a good investment looks like. So, a good investment is one that fits your policy goals, risk tolerance, and most important is making money. Now, as everyone knows, WHO stated that the goal for a healthcare system is health, responsiveness, and financing fairness. And this could be achieved by increasing the national annual expenditure of our healthcare system. We could justify this fact based on the research made by the US Medicine National Institute of Health in 2020. The research shows that the countries that increase their expenditure on the healthcare in order to have an equal healthcare system will have a better economic status development.
Okay, please.
So the question now is, how is it possible? So this is my responsibility to explain it. So basically, we need to know the fact that an important dimension in the relationship between healthcare expenditure and economic performance is the factor of productivity of workers. As we commonly know, our industry sector is widely dependent on legal migrant workers. By proving equal healthcare charges, the legal migrant workers will have a better health condition due to a better accessibility to healthcare system and indirectly maintain the quality and productivity, thus implying a positive factor to improve our beloved country, Malaysia, economic status. In addition, by having a very good quality labor, despite improving our industry sector, it would also attract the investors from all around the world to come and start their business in Malaysia. So do you know what that means? It means that there is growth in Malaysia and expanding market share in Malaysia economy that will further imply an increase in Malaysia annual funding due to higher rate of taxes payment in Malaysia. Thus, Malaysia will start to make profit from this. So, ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, as I explained before, what good investment look is policy goals, risk tolerance, and the most important thing is making money. And now we could achieve all three criteria of good investment. Therefore, we government don't see why the opposition doesn't agree in making the healthcare charges equal for the citizens and non-citizens, specifically for legal migrants and immigrants. Although this proposal is factually proven to give benefits to our beloved country. So, I have a question to the opposition. Are you trying to be a burden to our country's development just because the opposition is being conservative and close-minded? Members of the floor, before I end my speech today, I would like to recap my solid point. My point today is healthcare is the best investment, in which by making healthcare charges in government hospital equal for citizen and non-citizen, specifically legal migrant and immigrants, it gives a positive impact to our beloved country, Malaysia's economic status. Therefore, the opposition should not be conservative and close-minded, and I would like to use this opportunity to welcome the opposition to be on our side to support this proposal. We government hoping for a brighter future. With then, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, first speaker of the government team. Now I would like to call upon the first speaker of the opposition team to deliver her speech.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes.
Okay, let me take a minute. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening I bid to the honorable speaker, the punctual timekeeper, wise panels and judges, my comrades, and last but not least, the respected opponent side. We as today opposition side have structured our case as follows. I'm Shazwina as the first leader of opposition side will first rebut the statement that had been given by the Prime Minister of government side, then further explain argument. Second speaker Iqbal will rebut and give elaboration for another 2 more points. And lastly, our third speaker of opposition side will summarize and reaffirm our stance toward this motion tonight. As the opposition side, we will prove that the healthcare charges in government hospital be made equal for both citizens and non-citizens can bring more harm than good. Our stance is simple. We believe that healthcare should be made accessible to all. However, we recognize that it is not possible to do so with these measures without causing detrimental problems. Why do we say it so? Thus, this leads to my first argument, which I'm going to elaborate later under the keyword of economic limitation. But before I come to my first argument, let us first have a look at what our Prime Minister has stated just now. The government the government failed to explain what's the procedure and management to tackle this problem. How can you invest when you do not have fund to do at the very first place? And you want to say that medical healthcare is a right and a responsible and you want to state that medical healthcare is a right, which you want to make it equal for both non-citizens and citizens. For us, opposition side,
POI?
we oppose that kind of no, sorry, too soon, sir. No, medical healthcare is not a right. Why do we say so? Because morally, do you have the right to demand that the medical system provide life-saving care forever to the tune of millions of funds of others taxpayer money to be specified our citizens or services? It is impractical for us to believe so, and if we do that, it will produce plenty of discussion. Therefore, we argue that the healthcare is not a right, but rather it is a commodity. This means that the demand, supply, and cost of this medical care should be and needs to be
POI?
governed and rationed properly, rather than blindly giving it to everyone equally. No, thank you, sir. The government side talking. Now let's moving on to our my first argument. The reason why we disagree with this motion is because there is economic limitation of the country on healthcare. We cannot provide the same level of protection to non-citizens as to our own, as we want to ensure economic stability. Don't you think, government, don't you think that we should prioritize our citizens first, as they are the ones who pay for tax? People who pay taxes deserve to get the benefit of tax, and one of the main recipients of tax in Malaysia is healthcare. There are myriad of healthcare that can be given. The primary healthcare, secondary healthcare, emergency care, and these use a lot of money. And still, you as a government want to give benefits to the non-citizens. Even we already noticed that even our citizens nowadays already suffered. According to one study, Malaysia healthcare spending has increased to 12.22% in 2018 from 2017, and the numbers keep on increasing. And thus, by making healthcare charges equal, it will overwhelm our country in terms of finance, and thus will affect our healthcare in general. What I mean when I say healthcare, it not only affect the quality of serving them with good service, but also affect the job of our citizens from the higher position, the CEO, until even the one who clean up the rubbish. Thus, because of this, we should disagree with the motion tonight. Other than that, based on one study, medical inflation in Malaysia has been estimated to increase to about 10 to 15% annually, 2 to 3 times higher than inflation of cost living. And based on statistics from the past 15 years, the medical inflation rate has increased by a whopping 107%. Why does this medical inflation occur and it continues to increase? So basically, this is due to improvement in technology and treatments, new drugs, and requiring more medical care. According to Ministry of Finance, the federal allocation for the Ministry of Health has gone up in tandem with gross domestic product from 14.8 billion to 26.5 billion in 2018. This shows a large budget that being used to provide a good healthcare, and this will sure affect our economy, then further affect our healthcare. As a result, the Ministry of Health has not had sufficient funds to expand its services to provide the new modalities of treatment in a comprehensive manner, despite the fact that 9.5% of the federal budget was allocated to the Ministry of Health in 2018. So ladies and gentlemen, what have I told you today? The economic limitation of our country on healthcare is one of the arguments why we should disagree with this motion tonight. And for all reasons that I have stated just now, the motion must fall. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, first speaker of the opposition team. Now I would like to call upon the second speaker of the government team to deliver her speech.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, sekejap. Excuse me, please give me a minute. To be close-minded or to be reasonable, I think that is the basis of our debate for today. For the motion, this House will propose that healthcare charges in government hospital be made equal for both citizens and non-citizens. Good evening to everyone in the hall. So I am the second speaker of the government. I have two words for today. First is to rebut the first speaker of the opposition, and second is to give more argument in accordance to support our motion for today. So first, let's start with our rebuttal. The first speaker of the government, the opposition, has been saying lots and lots about economical limitations. Like has been said lots, they give facts, numbers, and say that our economical limitations here and there, blah 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 blah. But here, didn't you say what our first speaker have said about healthcare investment is a very good investment? Didn't you say a word, even one word that our first speaker has said? I know investment is giving money to get back money. Like my first speaker has said everything I said. He said that if we actually give more money to make this healthcare charges equal for both citizen and non-citizen, it will give effect in the long term. We know that things about money, we don't see it right now. We see it in the long term. Now I will give explanation to the third point later, which is my third point is creating a holistic healthcare system. But for now, I will send every rebuttal to my third speaker. I'll just say simple and I'm going to continue with my 2 points because I'm afraid that I don't have time. Okay, POI? POI? Okay, sorry, too late. Okay, so first point is encouragement to universal health coverage as for equality. So first, I need to explain what is universal health coverage to explain to my second point for the government, which is UHC is actually based from WHO, which it declares that health as a fundamental human right that targets giving highest quality healthcare to people alike, which means to our point that we want to give equality to citizens and non-citizens the same. Why? Because we know that we want to give non-citizens a better healthcare without them worrying about their pocket money, about their financial resources, because we want to establish healthcare to prevent poverty. We know that healthcare actually taking care of our body actually it actually uses a lot of money, even we know that. But by following the policy that WHO has supported here, which is the universal health coverage, will actually reduce this idea of poverty. So actually UHC itself actually encouraged by both WHO and UN, which shows that most nations is actually progressing towards UHC. And we know that the idea of equality, we have to give the same right to it, the citizens and non-citizens, because non-citizens themselves, they actually work for Malaysia, they actually give increase the economical situation in Malaysia, they give money to Malaysia by working for us. Don't we have to pay them equally, give them the right equally, because they also help Malaysia to gain more money? Why do we want to put them aside just because they are born from another country? Think about that. Because they also help Malaysia. Not just citizens help Malaysia, they also help Malaysia. We know that there's a lot of immigrants and migrants in Malaysia. It sums up to around 4 million. 4 million is not a small number, but imagine 4 million, how many money they actually given to Malaysia by how many they work. And this is why we need to follow by the policy of the UHC. It's actually agrees to the motion to actually equalize the health charges between non-citizens and non-citizens for the government hospital healthcare charges. And I bring to the last point that wants to be brought up to from the government side, which is creating a holistic healthcare system. Well, when everyone starts to take care of their health, like we imagine in the world where non-citizen and citizen has to pay equal money to get their healthcare, to take care of their health, this is what will happen. First, the idea of prevention is better than cure. Non-citizens will go to check up and they will see whether they are healthy or not. And if they are not healthy, they will get can prevent from getting they can prevent the spreadness of the disease earlier. And this will bring the idea of herd immunity. When, like I said just now, total of immigrants and migrants in Malaysia, it counts up to 4 million. 4 million is not a small number. If they don't take care of themselves because they are worried about the amount of charges they have to pay the amount of charges they have to pay, this will lead to them not worrying about their health and not going to treatment, and that will like I said, will increase the cases of any diseases and increase morbidity in Malaysia. So, like I said here, when we take care of everyone, everyone is equal, everyone takes care of their health, it will impact Malaysia in a better form, because we can see that everyone here, citizen and non-citizen, work in Malaysia. What we say that they actually help Malaysia increase money, but when there are the spread of diseases, that will cause a lot of cases, like with example like now at COVID-19, there's places need to be closed and such. Okay, so that's why we need to agree with the motion, because like we said, it brings more good than bad. Thank you.
Thank you, second speaker of the government team. Now I would like to invite the second speaker of the opposition team to deliver his speech.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, one consistent thing that we can actually see under both of the speeches from the Prime Minister and also Deputy Prime Minister is the theory of non-citizens being a form of investment in the first place, in the form of letting the country have a lot more money because you're actually investing in these non-citizens. We argue that under side opposition, we argue that this cannot actually be done in the first place. They fail to acknowledge the first problem that actually happens when we're talking about this motion. Where exactly are the funds that we're actually going to get in order for us to help help proceed with this mechanism, which is to make the healthcare charges equal for both citizens and non-citizens, in order for you to get these investments and in order to get all of these benefits that first and second speaker have said. Further, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening to all the members of the floor. Second speaker under side opposition, I'm going to be talking, debating the case and arguments that has been given under side government, and then I'm going to be giving argument under side opposition as to why motion should be rejected. So without further ado, let's go towards the Deputy Prime Minister. So first of all, she also talked a little bit about the form of investment, something that I talked about in the first place, and then she also talked about how these healthcare charges can actually the equalization of healthcare charges can actually create a holistic system in order to prevent the idea of preventing spreadness of disease. We agree to an extent that yes, it can actually help to prevent the spreadness of disease. However, side government has to acknowledge the fact that the idea of equalizing healthcare charges, Prime Minister also said this about the definition, it does not just encapsulate regarding the diseases. There's also plenty of different other factors, such as like the normal, like you heard your other things than diseases. So when the second speaker talked about the idea of causing diseases, stopping the spread of diseases, we argue that yes, it's true, but there is only one specific thing under big idea of equalizing charges. Right? So we tell you that there's going to be plenty of other drawbacks and plenty of other negative effects that will actually be more than this benefit that they present to us. We also tell you that look at this current situation regarding the COVID-19, right? This COVID-19, under the status quo, we aren't having equal charges, right? However, regarding the infection such as COVID-19, we're still giving free COVID-19 vaccinations whether they are immigrants or not, right? So basically, we can still solve the problem without actually using making it equal for both citizens and non-citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, under my arguments, I'm going to be showing to you when we actually proceed with this motion, what can actually happen, what are the negative effects that can actually happen. Under the keyword of firstly, our healthcare quality will actually be affected, and secondly, the act of equaling these healthcare charges is actually hard to enact at the first place, but if side government is adamant enough to actually want to do so, and even if it is done, it won't actually be effective due to the things that we have just said, and also due to the language barriers and also other types of barriers. So first argument regarding the healthcare quality will be affected. What do we mean by this? We mean by healthcare quality is regarding a lot of things. So our side opposition argues that when we propose this motion and we go through with this motion, then this healthcare system will be affected because there's going to be plenty of different people that are going to and take this healthcare and everything, and this makes the healthcare quality, which will then provide negative impact for not just the non-citizens but also to the citizens that we pay taxes and all of that in the first place. So this goes two different factors. I'll come back to you later. Two different factors. Firstly, regarding the shortage of doctors, because of the amount of people that are going to go and all of that, which will then further cause negative impact to the citizens and also non-citizens, but also and more severely due to the accuracy of the patient care, in which in normal circumstances you're able to have a high enough accuracy of patient care. However, this will be negatively affected when you're actually using this motion. And then we also talk about the healthcare system, such as the services that we use, such as equipment, procedures, medications, etc., which will then also cause a deficit in these areas, which will then cause our healthcare quality in general to be affected, and thus not just non-citizens will not get this thing, but also citizens will also not get this thing. Before I move to my second argument, who wanted to be I?
Okay, so POI, I just want to ask, as stated by the opposition regarding that how government want to do the investment, do you know that there's a fact where based on the national financial statement where 15% of Malaysia's funding is instated in free government funding. So do you think is it possible for us to take the money for the investment in the healthcare system?
Ladies and gentlemen, basically what I'm trying to say regarding this issue, regarding this investment thing, is that it isn't actually practical and it isn't actually we're not actually going to be able to do so in the first place because we don't have the funds where we're going to do so in the first place in order for us to create that investment. Right? So regarding like the investments and all of that, is like not enough in order for us to consider this big enough motion. And my last argument is regarding the act of equaling healthcare charges, which will be hard to enact. Why is it hard to enact? Because it needs a lot more than just changing one legislation. Because we have to realize that in order to change the legislation, it's going to be a lot of budgets, there's going to be a lot of allocations, a lot of estimates, a lot of committees. We're not even going to talk about like the different discussions that we'll be having, the different backlash that we will get, and all of this, which will cause it to be hard to enact. And even if side government wants to enact this, we argue that it won't be effective because there will be barriers such as language barriers and all of those. These seem like such small things when you look at the wider perspective, but this is actually causing a lot of medical debates for some time already. Ladies and gentlemen, over my past few minutes, I've talked about how proceeding with this motion will affect our healthcare quality, and it is actually hard to enact because of and also ineffective because of language barrier. With that, I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the second speaker of the opposition team. Now I would like to welcome the third speaker of the government team to deliver his speech.
Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening. I bid to Mr. and Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. So we, the government side, we strongly stood firm with the motion that this House will propose that healthcare charges in government hospital be made equal for both citizens and non-citizens. So before I further explain why the government side have provided a much more concrete and compelling evidence, I will first begin by the rebuttal of the first and second point given by the opposition side. So the first speaker, she mentioned about it brings more harm than good. because basically when you equalize the charges between non-citizens and citizens, you're basically being unfair to the taxpayers. But let me ask you this: do you even know, especially in the Malaysian healthcare system, where do we get these funds from? Basically, the first, I think the most common thing that we all know is that we get this fund from taxpayers' money. But other than that, we have SOSCO. So what is SOSCO? So basically, SOSCO is Social Security Organization. All lawfully employed foreign workers, which includes legal and illegal foreign workers, are eligible to apply for the Social Security Organization. And how the SOSCO contribution is calculated? The amount of paid is calculated 0.5% of the employee's monthly earnings, which practically means these legal foreign workers are actually paying to the healthcare system. So let me ask you this: why shouldn't we equalize the fee? Because they are also contributing to the healthcare system. So
Yeah,
let me ask you that. Yeah, sure.
Are taxed by citizens and also the Costco that you said regarding non-citizens equal for you to actually want to proceed with this motion? Please explain.
So basically what I'm trying to say is that taxpayers are paid by the citizens, SOSCO are paid by the non-citizens. And SOSCO and taxpayers' money, both of these will contribute to the healthcare system funding. So let me ask you this: why shouldn't we equalize? Because they're practically funding the healthcare system. So moving on to the second point mentioned by the first speaker of the opposition side. She said that healthcare is not a right. But let me tell you this. Paragraph 1 of Article 25 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that the following: everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and his family. So basically, healthcare is a right. If you're not equalizing the charges, you're basically violating human rights. We, human beings, let's put aside our differences, we're all the same. So each and every one of us will have to gain access. We have to gain the same access to proper healthcare. Doesn't matter which part of the world that you're born in. So moving on to the second speaker of the opposition side. Yes?
Answer. If we're talking about the rights of non-citizens, don't you think that we should actually tackle the more important issue regarding non-citizens' livelihood, such as, for example, food and shelter, before we actually go on with other types of rights?
Okay, so to answer that, that's the main point. When you reduce their burden on medical charge, you're also practically making them save more money for other daily aspects, such as food, clothing. So if let's say you reduce the cost for medical bills, you're actually opening up more doors for these legal foreign workers to to buy their basic necessities such as clothing, foods, household items. So based on the second speaker, he mentioned that the theory of non-citizens are not the backbone of economy in Malaysia. Let me just clarify here is that, okay, having a good healthcare system is one of the major contributors for economic growth. So how is this relevant? Legal migrant and immigrant workers are an important part of Malaysia's economy, and failing to protect their jobs will affect the survival of industries and businesses. So they are contributing to the economical welfare of our country. High economic growth will lead to increased investment in human capital and even health advancement, which is the point I would like to rebut the second speaker, where he mentioned that healthcare quality will be affected if we equalize the charges. Because by equalization, it will bring more investors, because basically you're improving the healthcare sector, and the funds generated will be used for the advancement of the healthcare system, which further make the healthcare system much more efficient. So to strengthen the points delivered by my first and second speaker, so it's basically the debate revolves around basic human rights. And I believe that it is not ethical for you as a doctor. Just imagine you're working a noble job, because basically medical practitioner, you're helping other people in need. But just imagine that would you able to sleep at night wondering that the government is secretly exploiting and discriminating these foreign workers because they are born in Malaysia, because they have to pay 40 times more than of a normal citizen. So I'm hoping that the third speaker of the opposition side would give me a clarification regarding my question. So based on this, I believe that the House should support the government side because we have given a much more compelling and concrete evidence on why we should equalize these charges to non-citizens and citizens. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, third speaker of the government team. Now I would like to call upon the third speaker of the opposition team to deliver her speech.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to the respective judges, fellow comrades, worthy opponents and members of the hall. As the third speaker, my job here is to lay out the arguments that have been given, strengthen and reinforce my team's point and show you why this debate will be our win. So, first of all, you've mentioned that the first speaker of the government team have mentioned that healthcare is the best investment. And you did mention at the end that making money is your main point. So, how can you get the money? Do you know, you said yourself that it's 40 times, right? So we pay 1 ringgit and these people pay 40 ringgit. How are you supposed to make money if you are giving them to pay 1 ringgit also? We need more equipments, you know that. And we have limited services if we give them the same amount. You know, there will be less cash flow. It can limit new technologies because you need to keep the cost down. And innovation can fall behind. You want to give a quality healthcare, but imagine people are flooding in. Have you seen hospitals right now? No, thank you. Have you seen hospitals right now? People are flooding in, coming with emergencies and such. And now people are coming in because you open it to them. And this will reduce the quality of healthcare because accuracy of patients, doctor will start to rush. Now, if you don't have the money to actually get this to be stable, how are you supposed to cater for that? How will doctors actually understand the patients when you don't have translators? How will you get that money? Okay.
I just want to ask, do you know what investment means?
Yes, I do.
So you should know that investment means that we are going to take our money, we initial saving, to put into something in order for us to get something new, more. As I stated before, making more money. So the question now is not how we are going to fund, but we need to see the opportunity that we are going to get based on the investment. I hope you will clarify that.
Okay. So now, you want to make investments and you say that prevention is better than cure. And you also say that your main point right now is you want to give equality. However, my point still stands because it's not easy to enact this. The taxpayers' money, okay, you also mentioned that they pay SOXO, which is 0.5%. And these people and the citizens, they pay 30%. See? So, where's that balance there? Of course, they won't need to they won't need to pay also 30% because they don't, and they work minimum wages. So, this doesn't give the economic stability over here. And and the Malaysian medical inflation keeps on increasing. And we still need money, and you need technologies, right? You're making that investment, and we need to also cater for that. Medical knowledge and also technology keeps on evolving, and these numbers keeps on increasing day by day. Okay, not day by day, but like. No, thank you. If you want to afford these medical inflations to improve your healthcare, you cannot make it the same price. And you want to give a holistic healthcare, and this cannot be done because as my colleague has mentioned, it is not practical to do so because there's a lot of change. And you would need to afford a lot of things. Therefore, I rest my case.
Thank you, third speaker of the opposition team. As the debate is reaching to its end, I would like to allocate 2 minutes for the first or the second speaker from both teams to prepare their reply speech. The first or the second speaker from the opposition team, please present your reply speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's quite ironic for side government to come up and talk about how side opposition is trying to exploit the people or the non-citizens. Because when we look at the speeches that has been given and the first, second, and third speaker on the side government, they talk about is how much the economic value of these people are able to exploit this economic growth from these non-citizens. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, we can sum up this whole debate with two fundamental questions. Firstly, this regarding the supposedly the aim of this debate, which is should be about the commodity of these non-citizens regarding the healthcare and the extent of this commodity as compared to non-citizens. They argue, under side government, they argue, and they are too focused on talking about the economic exploitation, ladies and gentlemen, rather than the non-citizens' own value of life regarding like the moral compass of the non-citizens. Right? Under side opposition, we, on the other hand, we recognize the moral value of these people. However, we have successfully shown you why the act of proceeding with this motion will produce plenty of ramifications, negative ramifications and negative effects that will thus lead to more drawbacks compared to benefits, and thus we cannot actually use this motion. We have to reject this motion. Second fundamental question is regarding the practicality of this motion. We argue already, and we've shown to you a realistic approach and shown to you why we are not able to do so based on the arguments that we have talked about regarding how it is actually very hard to do so, how we don't actually have the funds at the first place in order for us to actually produce this, for us to continue with this motion. However, side government, again, they talk a lot about how it's practical because it generates money, where they don't even recognize the main problem at the first place, because, and also adding to the fact that you actually require other more factors than that, ladies and gentlemen. So what you see from side opposition is a realistic side versus an optimistic, albeit too optimistic side under side government. You see as a holistic side opposition versus an economically thinking only under side government. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why we should reject today's motion. With that, I rest my case. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now the government team may present your reply speech.
Good evening, everyone. And for today's motion, we can see here is between optimistic and realistic that has been said by the side opposition. We have shown many evidence that shown that when we care about the equality of both, it will prove that it will be better, not just good rather than the bad that is showed by the opposition in long term. Like our first point here, which is a healthcare investment is a good investment. Like we said, you heard I explained, the thing is about we can get extra investors and which will improve the economy. That can actually solve all the troubles that we say, the economical limitations that the side opposition has been worried time and time. But we, the side government, has already solved this problem at the start of the debate. And also the idea, like we said, about the equality that has been suggested by the idea of universal health coverage. Like we are saying, we are all humans. We need to get the same level of healthcare, because in the end, we're humans. We cannot just push them aside because they are born from another country. Because in the end, they are working for the country. Will you like it if you work for this place, but you don't get the money, you don't get the benefits working at that place? You hate it, right? Like we already explained that these non-citizens, they work for the country, so they should get the benefits staying in the country, even though they are just migrants and immigrants, they're not born here. And also to our third argument about the holistic healthcare system. This is a very important point because we want to protect everyone. You want to make sure that everyone doesn't get sick due to ones that doesn't take care of their own health. Remember that we cannot remember the idea of, I said, prevention is better than cure. We know that when we start preventing, no big problems will arise later in the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, we should not worry the ideas about the economic limitation or the shortage of the staff, the quality, because in the end, when everything is equal, that problem will solve later in the future, because we know that we, the side government, have shown all the ways to solve the problem, but side opposition doesn't agree to everything that we say. So I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you for all debaters. Now we will give some time for our adjudicators to carefully give mark and discuss who is the winners for today's debate. So our adjudicators have submitted their ballots. Thus, you still need to wait because we want to let our committee members to count the mark. So in the meantime, we would like to ask the juries to give their comments on the debates while waiting for the committee members to count. So, any doctors that would like to start first?
Okay, I may start.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum. Good evening, everyone. First of all, before I give my comments, I'd like to congratulate the Interbatch Debate team for organizing this wonderful setup, lively, and to bring this back. We'll be waiting for this. I've been involved with this. We missed this last year. I'm very happy to be back on this platform again. It's a lovely thing to have again. I was looking forward to this. All right. So now moving on with there's some few comments here I would like to make on the presentation. Fantastic work. Both team have done a lovely job. Congratulations to you both as well. Very well presented, nicely done. And despite of being online and it's virtual, I understand it lacks a little bit those emotions and the physical presence and all those things that we are used to from the previous events. But nevertheless, again, the essence of the team, the whole thing is there still. And what I was expecting a little bit more, like, the government side, I was expecting some you give bit most points rather than just, talking on the other than just aspect of the, like, what you call it as the investment aspect of it. There was other things that you could have added actually. Nevertheless, the opposition, rather, on the other hand, I was expecting more aggression from you. Yeah, this kind of debates you can be, because you're opposition. Yeah, you expected to be more aggressive. You expected to come with your points much stronger. So yeah, that's my point. This is something. So government was going on compassionate side, so you could have gone a little bit other aspect as well. And by the way, taxes paid also by the foreigners as well. It's not only SOXO. So you could look into your references and facts a little bit more to see what's happening, and few other aspects where you could have added to those things. Yeah. Nevertheless, it was a good presentation. I enjoyed it very much. Good job by all the members. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. So, Dr. Alimah, maybe, if you are ready, maybe you can give some comments.
I just would agree and reiterate back what Dr. Jamal has said. I think both of the groups have done a very good job, especially in this online debate where I still could feel some of the emotion, even though the emotional part is I think is best seen during on-site. Okay, but I think both groups did a very good job. Yes, I think there is a lot of other info that could be inserted into by the government or even by the opposition, where you didn't touch upon much, such as on the insurance coverage and all. But there is something that maybe you don't even have time to go through. But I think both groups did very well. Yeah. Well, congrats to all of you.
Thank you, Doctor. So, Dr. Damayanti, maybe it's your turn next. Yeah?
Yes, thank you very much. I agree with both Dr. Jamal and Dr. Alimah. I want to congratulate both teams. You all did very, very well given the circumstances. It's not easy to speak your mind under pressure. So I think both of you, both groups have performed as best as you can. It's very good. Just some points of improvement, as Jamal said, even though I know it's difficult when you're isolated to have that fire and the spark, but that is sort of what is expected when it comes to a debate. When you hear debate, you want to see the, you believe so much your point of your conviction, so you really want to convince everybody that this is, I am right, So we would have liked to see more of that. And then points wise, I know it's not a topic that is very easy to get information for both sides, but perhaps you could have touched on some public health policies, as Dr. Jamal was saying, maybe brought in something about the WHO, comparison of our healthcare system with, say, even Singapore or NIH, that kind of thing also could have been pulled in. And then, like Dr. Alima said about the insurance, so when workers come in, they are also, part of their contract is also healthcare is provided, or sometimes even schooling is provided, it depends what kind of contract that they have with the employer. So there's also that the relevant party could have brought in to discuss. Also, I got the sense when we were talking about the citizens or non-citizens, it was mainly for the level of those who are perhaps non-professional. So there's also a lot of professional workers that come in, which coming in at a higher income bracket. So they also contribute. I mean, they also, if they were going to get free healthcare, whether that is fair to them compared to the the lower income worker. So those kind of things could have been also brought in, to expand on your points. And one more thing would have been also a comparison between going to public healthcare. Actually, our government, Malaysian healthcare is very good and subsidizes a lot, actually, compared to some of our neighboring countries. And that point could have been brought forward. And then whether it's fair, that kind of benefit is also given to non-citizens or people who are maybe just earning a higher income, whether citizen or not citizen. So those kind of things actually could have been pulled in if you ever had to do it again. But overall, very well done and congratulations. And thank you so much for involving us. We really had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you, doctors, for your comments. I hope all debaters will take this advice positively and use it to improve their next debate round. So now I already have the results in my hands. So the winner for this debate today is Team Gryffindor. And congratulations for the winning team. And the best speaker chosen today is also from Team Gryffindor. It is the third speaker, Amar Daniel. So, congratulations, everyone. Finally, it is the end of today's round. Thank you to all amazing debaters and the amazing debates. And thank you for the juries who are willing to spend their precious time today. So before we exit, we already end the session and all. Before we exit, we would like to take a picture as a memory and also for our report, of course. So even though the timekeeper and the committee members who are in here, you are more than welcome to also turn on the camera.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So, doctors, Diana will send the picture to you after this, and for the participants, we'll send it in the group later. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
So much, everyone.
It's
Thank
a
you,
good
Doctor.